Rebecca in the house.
How's it going?
How are you?
I'm great. I'm so glad you invited me.
Oh, we've been planning this for a while, mainly because of your speaking engagements at these events or meetings and stuff.
Right.
As a proponent for marijuana,
That's correct.
to get it legalized in our state.
That's correct.
I think it's a long time coming. It's a long time coming for a lot of people to wake up and realize that there's a lot more benefits to this than not, to get past the stigma, of marijuana, cannabis, and I just want to know more about what you're involved in, and how much longer will it be before
It may be a while before we get it all done.
Yeah, for here at
For the
state.
state
Yeah,
of Kentucky.
right.
Okay. We've got 33 states plus Washington, D.C. that is medical cannabis. We've got 10 states plus Washington, D.C. that are recreational use. Kentucky, we like to say adult responsible use. Recreational sounds like everybody's just
Having a good fucking time.
good
Right?
time, just screwing a whole bunch of shit up, and that's not really what's happening. That's not what the cannabis community is like. You have a lot of people that are using for different reasons, but our main focus is, my right to decide. I feel like that I should have the right. Other states have the right. Growing up, I'm sure in school you said the Pledge of Allegiance. Right? You said it 180 times a year, and 2,160 times.
You did the math, huh?
I did the math on it because it means that much to me. I'm patriotic. I'm a conservative. I believe in freedom and justice for all. I believe that everybody's rights need to be the same, just real simple stuff like that, It's a lot to hear people stand up and talk about one nation under God, indivisible, when we have the majority of states having these freedoms and liberties while the rest of us, frankly, remain oppressed because we're still being charged, cited, locked up, fined. We can lose our jobs. Right. We can lose custody of our children. We have people that are suffering, strung out on opioids, when they could have a safer choice. Try some cannabis for your pain.
Right.
All these things come into factor, and it's time for Kentucky legislators to make the necessary law changes, and it's time for the citizens to stand up and say, you know what, enough's enough. Because the prohibition's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, there you go. You bring up prohibition. I was going to go there because that's kind of where it all started, as far as the make this in a illegal narcotic. Is that, I guess they do call it.
That's right. It's a Schedule I narcotic.
Yeah. So take us back. What was the mindset of the people, the old white men back in the day? Yeah.
I hate, this is a message that, it's kind of hard as a blonde-headed white woman to be talking about oppression and racism and all that, because it seems so disingenuous. But the truth of the matter is that the prohibition was totally based on racism and greed. Totally. Cannabis was in our pharmacopoeia. That was our PDR back then. It was
PDR.
That's what doctors use to look up different medicines and different things.
Right.
It's got all the medical stuff in it. So it was called a pharmacopoeia back then. And so it was used as an analgesic and other things for, forever up until 1937. 1937, there was a drug czar that was appointed. His name was Harry Anslinger. Now, the words he used to start this prohibition, to make cannabis illegal, is quite disturbing. I want to read you the quote because I don't want anybody to think that this is my words or
No,
anything.
this is the actual gentleman
this is the actual quote.
Okay, go ahead.
And he said, there are 100,000 marijuana smokers. Most are Negroes, Hispanics, Filipinos, and entertainers. Their satanic music, jazz, and swing result from their marijuana usage. This marijuana causes white women to seek sexual relations with Negroes and entertainers and others. It is a drug that causes insanity, criminality, and death. The most violent causing drug in the history of mankind. He also went on to say that reefer makes darkies think they are as good as white men. Now, the ridiculousness.
Blatant racism going on here.
It had nothing to do with safety. It had nothing to do with people losing their minds, a reefer madness, you know. It had nothing to do with that. It mainly had to do with, let's use this as a tool to stop, check, search, detain, arrest, lock up minorities. That's what it was. And also so that his friends in the paper mill companies could eradicate hemp and the paper mills could continue to make all the money and monopolize on that.
Right.
Hemp was widely used.
Yeah,
you know.
because hemp's been around for ever.
Right. I mean, you know, the more I learn and look into it, you know, I know just a very small amount.
Enough for the conversation.
Right. For a Kentucky girl, you know. But the more that I find out, the more supportive I get of the movement, you know. We had
Well, I'm curious, what's his name?
Harry Anslinger.
Slinger. When he's making this proclamation / putting this into law, I guess in a
Right.
sense. Is he a doctor? Is he in the medical field? What
No,
is his
no,
background?
he was just appointed.
Okay.
You know,
But where did he get his information? What was his source or sources?
you know, I can't say
Okay,
because,
right.
you know, obviously, well, you don't want me to say where I thought he got it because, you know, it's just straight up racism.
Yeah.
And I think it's absolutely absurd.
So
Cannabis has never killed anybody in the history of man. It's non-lethal.
exactly. No overdoses
No overdoses.
Now,
No, there are overdoses. Now,
with marijuana.
yes,
Okay.
with cannabis. And let me explain to
I
you.
want to know. Yeah, go ahead.
You know, in Colorado, they have edibles. They have different,
Okay, that's a good point.
Strains.
That's a good point.
you know,
Yeah.
travelers. They go, they don't know. They might be saying, hey, let's go to Colorado and check out the scene.
But a lot of that. Well, continue that. Not.
So, you know, they stop at their local dispensary. They grab a pack of gummies, right? And they eat the whole pack on the way back to the hotel and then wonder why they're freaking out.
Yeah.
You know, and that goes back to the adult responsible use. It's just like anything else that can change your mood. You know, you have to be careful with it.
Well, that's a good point because, you know, with marijuana, cocaine, any of the drugs that have been, you know, that are deemed illegal,
Right.
and then that people, you know, maneuver their way in to get a hold of. A lot of people are not educated enough to know how much they should be taking,
Right.
and then obviously there's potential results from that. You know, with
You know, and
marijuana-
that's where education comes
well,
in.
of course.
You know, the more you explain to people and tell them, you know, this is, you know, if you're going to dose, this start off here, you know, don't sit and eat the whole bag. You know, there are different strains at different levels of THC quantity. So, you know, you have to be mindful of that. Just like, you know, alcohol, you know, you can have a beer or you can have a shot of whiskey, and the effects of the two are two different things.
Right.
So there's going to be a learning curve in that.
You know, and then you bring up, you know, alcohol, food, what other cigarettes that are, you know, we know cigarettes is linked to cancer. Alcohol, in excess of alcohol, can put you under the ground. In excess of food can put you under the ground.
That's right.
So yeah, it is self-awareness. It is knowing, what you can and can't do. So
Right.
yeah, it is a lot of self-responsibility.
Right. I mean, 88,000 people a year die in the United States due to alcohol-related either deaths just from being an alcoholic or wrecking their car,
Right.
what have you. The close second to that is opioid epidemic. Now,
Which is man-made,
which is man-made,
Yeah.
and it's FDA approved.
and it's FDA approved. Yeah.
And it was left unchecked for years,
right.
while states and communities spiraled out of control. Now, if you look it up, the deadliest states for drug overdose, Kentucky ranks number 4.
Yeah, we're up there.
We're up there. States that have legalized medical cannabis have seen a 25% reduction in opioid overdoses where it's been passed.
Well, I'm curious. What's the top 3 then? If Kentucky's 4, who are the? You know who the?
I wouldn't even
Are
want
those? Do we know?
Yes, because
Are we know there? Are they more? Because my take when it comes to, legalization of marijuana or states that are oppose it. If I read somewhere right or heard, it was the majority of the Midwest states, like mid U.S., where either the far or the East Coast, West Coast, or they seem to have a better understanding. And
yeah, well, we got them sprinkled up on East. We got Washington, D.C. Michigan's gone now, so we've got 4 states that are touching us that have some form. Ohio, Tennessee's looking at it
Right,
hard.
yeah.
They're looking at it hard. Kentucky and Tennessee are the biggest producers, usually, in the quasi-South, producers of cannabis. They eradicate, they spend millions of dollars every year eradicating crops. But what was that statistic? I did write something down. It was 4.6 million pounds of cannabis between Kentucky and Tennessee, indoor and outdoor.
Wow.
Both of these are conservative states.
Very.
But,
Well, help me. You bring up a good point too, and help me. Give me a little reality check. I've for the longest time, I've always associated the opponent of marijuana with conservative states or conservative leaders.
Not across the board.
Not across the board.
Not across the board.
How and why has that changed?
I think it's education. Jason Nemus, who's one of our state representatives, has introduced a medical bill. It's HB 136. It got really far. He got a lot of sponsors right at the end of session. It looks like it may actually do something this coming session.
For medical only.
For medical only.
Right, yeah.
We also have, and he's a Republican. We also have Senator Dan Syme. He is SB 80, and that's who I hang with, is the adult responsible use. That's what we're going for. My right to decide on, how I use, consume. We don't want it just all free willy-nilly. We want it regulated. We want it taxed. Colorado had a $3.5 billion economic impact.
Yeah, I think that was from 2016.
That's correct.
Colorado has been legal for over 5 years, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. And the more data comes in, the more we have. It changes so much. So much happens that we can't even hardly keep up with the data that's coming in. But it exponentially, it's not harming communities. Colorado's swimming pools will be open this summer.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Let's just throw that in there as a conservative that, let's start doing things that actually will cause less harm to our community and its members.
Where's Bevan at with this? What's his take or position?
Bevin said that he
Governor
would.
Bevin, for people
Governor
don't
Matt
know.
Bevin said that he would sign a medical bill if it crossed his desk. But he's not for adult responsible use. But, you know, we have a whole team working, messaging these people. We're jumping on their Facebook pages. We're sending them links. We're, you know, there's so much information. There's 20,000 studies that have been done. And we try to get all that to these holdouts.
Right. What's the opponent's view when it comes to legalizing it, from a recreational standpoint? What's their pushback?
The big pushback is that it's still considered a Schedule 1 on the federal level. Right.
Okay.
So that's what they fall back on, because they can't give me a clear-cut answer as to why not, because they're
clearly they've not done their due diligence to
right.
Yeah.
Because you have to look at it this way. Okay, it's Kentucky. 34 other states have looked at all this. They have made good decisions.
34 have legalized
The
from
medical.
And then
10,
we did 10
plus
of those,
DC.
34 plus all DCs too?
Yeah.
Legal? I
Yeah.
didn't realize that.
So just think about that now. And everybody that's
All the big-
oppressing us
are the big
can
boys
go
that can, have
can go right down the
access,
street from their office in Washington D.C. and smoke a joint.
Yeah. In public, right? I mean, I guess if it's legal, can you do that in public though?
I'm
I don't
not
know.
sure what
Okay.
their laws are.
Okay.
But most states, I think it has to be.
But you could definitely probably go into, like in Colorado, I'm sure there's venues or bar or whatever.
They have smoke lounges.
Yeah.
They have 420 friendly hotels that you can go to. 420 friendly buses that'll drive you around to all the different dispensaries, like a little sightseeing. You know, Kentucky could use some of that action.
Right.
You know, our pension is in the hole. Our state is in the bucket. We are almost bankrupt. And where are we going to get the revenue?
Right. Well, the state definitely, you're talking about the bankruptcy part of the state, but we know in the city here, we've had our, deficit issues. You just brought up the pool thing.
Right.
Well, I'm going to go back, part of the prohibition thing where, based on what you read, who and why it was clearly put into place to keep the non-white man down.
Oh my gosh. Somebody do something about that jazz musician, because my wife's looking at him too hard and it's really making me nervous. She's digging it.
Some of us would like, honey, keep looking because when we leave here, you're coming home to me.
Right.
Keep that jazz music playing in your head.
Right.
But, and then I'm digressing a little bit, but, marijuana and sex kind of, I've heard a lot of good things about that combination.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. It's, it's not like alcohol where things can just disappear on you.
Disappear. Not show up.
Show up. There's no vomiting involved in cannabis use, The lounges that let you smoke, they don't have bouncers at the door for rowdy cannabis users because it's just not happening.
Well, let's go back to when I was going to with the prohibition, the way it was written up. Clearly, it was targeting a demographic, or not targeting, but using a demographic as a
scapegoat for their friends to make money in the paper mill business.
Yeah. If there's one thing our country, the U.S. is good at, and I touched on this earlier, before the show, is incarcerating young black men.
That's correct.
And a lot of that is due to, I don't know a lot. I guess I don't know the exact percentage, but we know the numbers are pretty good.
Do you want to know the percentage?
Bring it. I know you would have it.
I do have it.
How many? Young or black? Do you have? Or give me the number.
Let me tell you what I've got.
All right. Go ahead.
Black young men are 6 times more likely to be incarcerated with cannabis than their white counterparts. And it has nothing to do with use.
Or it's well, go ahead. I know where you're going.
Because the same as, people are people.
Yeah.
There's a percentage of white people that
It
smoke.
is not a black man's.
It's not a black thing.
Yeah, it's not.
I mean-
That stigma should have gotten thrown out years ago because it has been.
And I'm not trying to take nothing away.
No, it's no, that's real. Facts are facts. But,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but you're right. I know of a lot of my lighter friends who smoke it, and you're right.
There's doctors, there's
If-
lawyers, there's
if-
people out in Prospect.
Right. If you have a 3-lane highway or 3-lane, say you're on Shelbyville Road, 3 lanes, you come up to the light. The cop's in the middle lane of the 3, and on the right of him is a car full of black guys. The left of him is a car full of white guys, and he smells marijuana. I'll say it. He's going to get out and automatically target,
6 times more likely to. It's a
at
fact.
least. Yeah.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
And, we go down to the Louisville Metro Council every month. We have a crew that go down. We take turns because, you can't just speak every time. You have to wait so long. So, we'll wait until it's our turn. But I talk about LEPO. The LEPO is an ordinance that we've come up. A really good friend of mine, Tom Rector Jr., is the one that really organizes all that. But it is to lower law enforcement's enforcement of cannabis. Stop using. I smell something. Everybody out of the car.
Right.
I'm searching everybody. I'm putting handcuffs up on everybody. It's ridiculous. It's sad, really, because. And I know this because I used to run around downtown, but now I live out in LaGrange. I can tell you that several times I got pulled over because I had a black man in the car with me. Got pulled over. I smell weed. I know better than to ride dirty and smoke in the car downtown. I know better.
Ride dirty.
Yeah, I said it. I know that sounds really crazy.
Light it up and take a puff.
Yeah, but I'm not going to do that. But nevertheless, they would have me out on the sidewalk, sitting on the ground.
You've experienced this. This is what
Yes,
you're saying. Yeah.
right.
Okay.
I've experienced it in that area of town. It never happened to me in Fern Creek. It's
Right.
never happened to me at the mall. Because I'm not doing anything.
Right.
I'm not driving erratically. I'm not intoxicated. I'm not screwing my life up. I have a very normal life. I got a black belt. I'm not lazy.
For real?
Yeah, I got my black belt at 47.
Oh, good Lord.
So, you can do things. It doesn't make people a couch potato. Some people, it just brings them to a level to where they can think and function. So it affects everybody differently. We're not trying to make it mandatory. Right. We're just trying to give people better choices. And when I say better choices, this is why I say this. Well, we covered, how many people die of alcoholism. Now, look at your college campuses. Alcohol, the hazing, fraternities.
That's so fucking out of hand. But
and how many have died?
Yeah.
Several have died.
Yeah.
How many girls get raped on college campuses? How
a
much
lot
of
more
that?
than gets reported.
That's right. And what's the main factor in
Alcohol,
all of
right,
these?
yeah.
Alcohol.
Yeah.
Now, what if I want little Jennifer, who's on the cheerleading squad, wouldn't I rather her smoke cannabis with her little girlfriends and not have to worry about getting kicked off the cheerleading squad because she has THC in her system? Would I rather her go to the fraternity party and drink and then get raped? Because it happens.
Yeah.
People don't want to talk about those statistics.
No, it sounds extreme, but that's reality.
That is
Yeah,
reality.
yeah.
I don't drink. This is a
Much.
no. Seriously, I don't. This is a Shirley Temple that I've got here. Main reason is
drink.
I'm allergic to alcohol.
Oh, for real? Okay.
Every time I've drank, I've turned orange and broke out in handcuffs. Because
Broke out there.
that's right. Some people can't handle drinking. I'm one of those folks. So it's about my right to decide. And you can, anybody. I urge people, speak up for yourself. You have rights.
Mm-hmm.
You have constitutional rights to seek life and freedom and liberty and health and all that.
With that said, do you think, because we are supposed to be the land of the free, the home of the, all this opportunity, the government does have a lot of say in our daily lives.
It is. And to me, when it comes to cannabis, the less, the better.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing, too, we talked before we started rolling, but, as a reminder for all those, just, as a conservative, it's probably safe to say you're God-fearing.
Yes, I am.
Bible. All right.
I went to private Christian schools.
Okay, respect. I could tell you we won't see eye to eye on that part, but what we can say is that, if the people who, definitely the opponents of marijuana, those who oppose it, yet are religious, God-fearing, it's a seed, it's a plant.
Well, they need to read their Bible.
Yeah, because there is some scripture in there.
There is. I mean, they could start with the first book. It's Genesis. You can start in the first chapter 1, go down to verse 29. And that's where the Bible talks about that God gave man everything that seeds.
Mm-hmm.
Now, cannabis has seeds in it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's a plant, and it was given to me and you by God.
Yeah.
So
is there anywhere in the Bible that says, "I'm giving you all these things, but don't use some of those things"? There's not a quote like that.
No. It says
checking.
all things.
Yeah.
All things were given to man. So, and it also states in the Bible in Isaiah that, sorrow awaits. I love that. Sorrow awaits. Because people think it's funny to play around with people's freedom.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to God, he's not down for it. It says sorrow awaits for those who pass unjust laws because they deprive the needy and they hurt the poor.
Mm-hmm.
So, if God's telling you, hey, sorrow awaits you if you keep hurting people. This prohibition was by design meant to hurt people.
Oh, clearly.
There's nothing about safety in this whatsoever.
No.
It is strictly racism and greed.
Yeah.
And
white privilege there.
it is, it's not right. And if I have to be the one to say it, I'll say it, but it would be nice to have some black people show up when we have a rally.
Well, all right.
Or to call.
Nice segue, because one of the things that how I found you on Facebook. I think we've been friends for a while, but these rallies, these meetings and stuff. You've done your part to show up to support the legalization. You speak at a lot of these.
Right.
Tell us what kind of resistance when you go in there and you're trying to just give your spill.
We've only had real resistance, from one little lady, and it was up in LaGrange.
Mm-hmm.
And she's some kind of safety lady. She works at some department, but she shows up to anything that's up there in Oda County,
Yeah.
And she's not a big fan of mine. And that goes back to education.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the things that she states, the children, she fears for the children. The truth of the matter is, in states where it's passed and now it's regulated and out of the hands of the black market,
Mm-hmm.
there's a reduction in use by those under the age of 21. So legalization and regulation is actually going to take it out of the hands
of the young. Yeah, and that's a good point, because I'm glad you brought that up too, because the truth is, through science, medicine, research, everything is saying that do not use marijuana at a young age, because your
That's right.
brain has not fully developed, your frontal lobe.
That's right.
So,
And I agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So That's interesting that, if it becomes legal.
Now,
Well,
but also, with that said, there are, and I've met them, there are several children in the state of Kentucky that have seizure disorders and some major health issues that benefit
Absolutely, from the CBD.
from the CBD and THC. You know, THC.
For people, share, because we're kind of taking for granted that everyone knows, the ins and outs of cannabis, marijuana.
Right.
But explain the difference between CBD and
Okay.
THC.
CBD comes from the hemp plant. The hemp plant is like the ugly cousin of the cannabis, the one with THC, the one that people smoke for rec or use for pain relief or PTSD or different muscle disorders and things like that.
All those things that it can treat. But
Several. Yeah. A glaucoma. You can keep someone from going blind. You know, that's serious stuff for people.
Absolutely.
You know, how come, Sandy in Florida gets treatment and gets to keep her sight, but, poor old Becky in Tennessee gets to go blind. These are factual things. These aren't, this isn't stuff that's made up. This is real science. Real people are getting real benefits from hemp and, CBD and THC.
Right.
The problem that we're getting ready to run into is this. When you buy CBD oil, it can have 0.3% THC.
So there's different levels of THC.
There's
in the
different
oil.
levels of THC. It's just
So
like
it's
when we was
not-
talking about the gummies
Okay.
and so forth. The CBD oil that you can buy here in town, or they're going to talking about carrying it Myers and whatever, and all these little CBD dispensaries. It's got to be 0.3% or below.
Or below. Yeah, point 0.3 is the max. Right.
Right.
So,
The problem that we're having is the bell has already been rung. There are people that are coming forward to our group and saying, hey, I just tested positive for THC and now I've lost my nursing position. Or
it's affected their their career.
their
whatever.
career.
Yeah.
There have been some soldiers that have lost some of their medical benefits for testing positive. That's unfair. We got 22 veterans take their lives
I do.
a day. And, PTSD is a real thing. And there's a lot of things to treat it. Cannabis is one of them. And it's one that won't kill your soldier.
Right.
Those are our heroes. They deserve better than that.
What is the true side effects of marijuana that opponents can throw at you and say this to them?
Well, they say, your reflexes are slower. I don't know. The argument is
clear. It's a
always
downer.
nil. Right.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's a depressant like alcohol.
No. Right. Yeah.
There's a lot of doctors that are psychologists, psychiatrists that recommend cannabis to suicidal patients because, they've never had a patient smoke a joint and then turn around and kill themselves. But we know that people can, have a drink and kill themselves. But I digress from that. But at the same time, it should be your right to decide. How you want to treat your ailment, how you want to party.
Could that be the same for the same argument for people who want to have cocaine legalized?
Well, the difference is this: cocaine will kill you.
It can. Yeah.
It can. It can kill you. It also can cause people to steal. Heroin, cocaine, some of these other drugs, the withdrawals make people act out of character.
But based on what you're saying, though, that's also same for alcohol.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
got you. Okay,
I've
no,
never
no,
run out of pot and said, you know what, I'm going to go hit Grandma over the head and I'm taking her cross off her neck. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to do that. But there are heroin addicts that will do that.
Yeah,
There
I
are
gotcha. Yeah.
crackheads and alcoholics that, an alcoholic will drink perfume if he runs out of alcohol because they get that desperate. Cannabis users, they'll be like, man,
Chill.
chill. I'm just going to eat something I'll call dude tomorrow or whatever.
They're not going to go on a robbery spree.
Right.
Yeah,
They're not going to be walking up and down Baxter with their hand out asking people for gas money.
Yeah.
They're not going to be tapping you at the gas station. Hey, man, it just doesn't happen.
Right.
And that's something you got to take in consideration. Yes, there are dangerous drugs out there. Cannabis is not one of them.
When it comes to the prison reform, they're actually being very proactive and trying to, put that into place to, decriminalize,
We spend way too much money in this state housing people for ridiculous shit.
right. And when that can get passed, are you okay with anybody who was associated with those types of, marijuana crimes? They automatically get
Clean record.
and a clean record.
Expunged.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Everything needs to be expunged from the past, and you need to leave these good folks alone.
It's a lot of black men.
Well,
just
I
I say that kind of jokingly, but that is real. That is going to be real.
Right. Yeah, the private prison system, the pharmaceutical companies. These are the people that come up against us.
Right.
These are the people that hire these $100,000 lawyers, whatever lobbyists, to come in and go in front of our Judiciary Committee and lie, and lie and lie, and we see it. We see it every session, and we speak against them. We put them in their place. We tell the truth. And it's always like we are almost there, and then the session ends and we don't get any movement. So, that's the reason why I keep doing
How long
what
you
I
been doing
do.
this?
Couple of years, three years.
But you 3 very active years.
Yeah,
Definitely
yeah.
lately.
You know that I'm active. I'm on social media. We got different ways that you can contact us if you want to, join in the fight. We've got SB 80 support page. We've got myrightTodecide.com. We have Kentucky Medical Marijuana, KY Medical Marijuana on Facebook. SB 80 support page is on Facebook too.
Real quick, we touched on this too before we started recording. I'd mentioned I had read somewhere where the FDA has 5, 6, 7 patents out there for involving marijuana.
Oh yeah, they want in on it. They want in on it bad. The pharmaceutical companies want in on it. They want to be able to package it, change it around. Just because something has been okayed by the FDA doesn't make it safe.
True.
We know that. Opana, right. Opanas were FDA approved. Hydrocodone, Oxycontin, all that's FDA approved garbage that, is addictive and hurts our communities.
What really happens at that point once it becomes FDA approved? Then it's in Big Pharma's hands at that point, right? Do they really kind of?
We don't want that to happen.
Yeah, all right. Let me step back because I think it makes sense. Yes, they're involved. They're clearly involved from a medicinal standpoint,
right?
But people can still grow it from a recreational standpoint. They're still able to do that,
and they can grow it for medical reasons too.
And medical reasons.
The reason why we originally the medical
wink.
the medical bill originally had home grows in it, and the reason why we asked for home grows to be in the medical bill is so that poor people, in eastern Kentucky, or people that just don't have enough money to pay what Big Pharma is going to charge you for Marinol or whatever that they make, give them the option to grow their medicine at home. And because it is a plant. Regulate it. Tell them, say, okay, you can grow it, but, you can only have 12 plants, 4 adult ones, 6 little ones, or, however they want to design it. But it needs to be free. It needs to be open. It needs to be regulated.
Well, here's another thing. I've got a couple of articles I'm going to throw at you.
Okay.
This was from May 9th, where there is an ordinance that's going to be making marijuana possession a low priority for Louisville.
That's right.
Yeah, so
That's actually going to go down at the Louisville Metro Council on the Thursday, the 23rd. And it's going to be a great day for us. We've been working on this LEPA ordinance and trying to do this for the city of Louisville for a couple of years now. I've spoke down there. I'm sure you saw that video because you see a lot of the stuff I post.
Right.
So yeah, we're real excited about that, and people can show up. Come on down at 601 West Jefferson Street Thursday, May 23rd. Louisville Metro Council, come and see what's happening down there, and cheer it on because it's about your freedom, my freedom, and to have equal liberties under the law as far as being an American.
Now, I'm going to read an excerpt from this article. It would not apply to drug dealing, which makes sense. Possession by minors, I would totally agree. Driving under the influence or any marijuana offenses related to an act of or threat of violence. Both LMPD and the mayor are still quick to point out that marijuana is illegal, but a Louisville LMPD spokeswoman does say small amounts of marijuana are already a low priority. So,
yeah, that's what they say until they yank you out of the car and get you sitting on a curb.
They roll in with
they are, and it's I can't imagine.
As you put it, riding dirty.
Riding dirty. I just couldn't imagine, to be under that kind of scrutiny in my own neighborhood, and it's not right. Yeah, everybody deserves to be able to go and get a job.
Here's another one too that again it's very alarming because we've seen the videos, we've seen just all of the research, the information that's out there where CBD oil will help treat like epilepsy, seizures, and I've seen the videos, the horror stories where these kids are dealing with that, where if they had access to it, it could help them.
Right. Now, we've got refugees that have left the state of Kentucky. Some of these children were having over 100 seizures a day. And now, this one little girl, she's having maybe one a week now. That's life-changing for a young person. That gives her whole life. If you're having 100 seizures a day, what is the quality of that?
Right. I'm with you. Yeah.
And for her family. Everybody wants their children to be well. And it breaks my heart. We have a lady, her name slips my mind, but she came down to the little Judiciary Committee and spoke. She had a big bag of medicine, all this medicine she takes for her epileptic seizures. And, her daughter was born. She has to take all this medicine, has terrible side effects. And her daughter was born with one leg shorter than the other as a direct result of the side effects from her seizure medication. Now, she already has gone to another state and knows that cannabis relieves her seizures and she can lead a normal life. So she comes back here, to argue that point for us. And, we appreciate people like that because that's the kind of truth that needs to get out there. And that's the kind of thing that'll make change in the state of Kentucky.
Yeah, this one might sting the religious people, but I have to say it. CBD oil has proven to work a lot more than thoughts and prayers. Just saying.
That is true. I believe in prayer, but I also believe in let's look at things realistically.
Very so.
And realistically, cannabis can be and has been proven to be a tool for people that are sick, and it's also a safer choice for any kind of responsible partying that you'd like to do.
Have you gotten pushback from friends, family who? Can you share? Because I say can't because I'm pretty damn sure you have.
I have.
What kind of bullshit are you dealing with?
Okay. Now, at first, my dad is 91. Okay. And at first he was like, very against it. I can't believe you're doing this and everything. And so, I would just talk to him every day about it and said, well, Dad, the reason why I say that is because of this, this, and this. And I'd show him things and I'd educate him on things. And now he shows up.
He's there.
He's there. He will go to the Judiciary Committee. He's 91. He'll show up and support me.
That's amazing. I like it. That's cool.
It's awesome. Now, my brother, on the other hand, is totally against it. I love my brother to death. He's a ex-military guy and high ranking, and we go round and round about it. But it's all in good fun. I'm educating him too, and
well, the effects, the positive the effects that it can have on for PTSD should be kind of enlightening to him, maybe, or where am I missing?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he's done a lot of work for different organizations, and when I let him know that the American Legion supports
American.
That's the American Legion, who he's a member of. That's your group, boy. They're supporting it.
Right.
Because they know that.
Do they really?
Yeah.
That's their official stance?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's
Oh,
good to
yeah,
know.
they support it.
Yeah.
They had a big article in the American Legion magazine that came out.
All right, cool.
So there's a whole lot of veterans groups that support it. I mean, a lot. There's just major support for it across the board. People are scared of the unknown. And that's the problem we run into with the state of Kentucky is there's a lot of stigmatism, taboo, Satan's cabbage, devil lettuce, everybody's going to hell if you smoke it,
And the stigma tied to, the type of people who use it.
Right. They're all lazy. They just sit around on the couch and play video games. I don't play video games. I've never played much.
Can you say do you use it? Are you active?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You're not a wake and bake though, are you? Wake and start hitting it.
I hate to even say because I don't want to give out my routine, but people ask me, well, are you high right now? I don't know. Let's keep talking and find out. And see what you think, because that's subjective.
Right.
Some people get high. Some people just feel normal and calm. I'm one of those people. I can't say that I've ever been high. And people's like, oh, that's bullshit. No, but seriously, I'm a very high-strung person. It relaxes me. It lets me be able to have a coherent thought and stay on that thought. I also have my own form of PTSD. At one time, I was a hard drug user. I'm going to go ahead and put that out there. I quit. I was on a lot of medication after I stopped all that nonsense. And then medicine was making me sick. And, a friend was like, hey, Rebecca, why don't you just try to smoke a little weed and just chill out a little bit, and stop taking all that stuff.
Game changer?
Life-changing.
Life-changing, yeah.
Within 2 weeks, I felt like I had my life back. I got married, I've got a nice family. I take great care of my family, I raised a great son, he's a super duper guy. No, he doesn't smoke. No, he does. Nobody in the family does with me. I'm the one person that does.
You're the root of all evil, right?
I am, but at the same time, I'm a nice chick. I'm a great gal.
Well, I mean,
I help anybody out,
Well, that's it. I mean, I think eventually, it's okay to give a shit about people. It's okay to care. It's okay to pay forward. It's
and I feel like I'm living a life I don't tell the truth.
Yeah.
And that's that's part of my motivation is because, people say, oh, cannabis is an entrance drug into, it gets people, it's a gateway drug. It's not.
No, it's not.
It's a gateway out.
Out, yeah.
It's a gateway out.
Right.
And there's proof of it. There's people that have had opioid abuse that helps with the withdrawal symptoms. There are people that are actually using cannabis to get off of their opioid addiction. and I'm all for that. Love nothing better than to see a cannabis rehab center open up for opioid users, and that's what they do. They give them cannabis, keep them calm, keep them from throwing up, keep them from feeling sick and wanting to die. You know, just give them a little comfort for a minute and let them get themselves together. You know, so you know, it's all ideas, but you know, we got to do something at the state level. We need to get some legislation, laws passed.
Because that's where it's all. That's the line is the state level.
Right.
Because the federal is, you know, state, do your thing, right?
Right.
Okay.
Because we have the States Act, which means states can make the decision on their own. Now, what we really like to see is for it to be taken off Schedule 1 on the federal level.
Right.
That would free us up. It would also free up some of these
has there ever been that
conservative
discussion?
senators.
Has there been that discussion at the federal level to take it off their heads?
Oh, yeah.
Recent discussion.
Oh, yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yes, constant and recent.
You would think the fact that D.C. is, you know,
Right.
it's legal in D.C. that
Well, you know, it's typically historically it's not been a Republican ideology, but freedom and less government is
Right.
a conservative
no, that's a good point.
ideology, and that's what we're wanting. You know, we want the government to stay out of our business when it concerns cannabis. Let's make some legalization, make some changes, regulate it. Let's get some income into the state. Let's put on 15,000 ancillary jobs that will support that cannabis
Yeah.
industry.
Absolutely.
You know, there are millions to be made. A lot of people would benefit from it. It's not going to, the state's not going to burn down. You know, our hospitals aren't going to be crowded with a bunch of cannabis users. It just doesn't happen. It's already here. You can probably,
I mean, yeah.
you can probably go walk through this bar right now.
Actually,
possibly-
you can probably lean over to this table and grab my. No, just saying. Yeah, just saying.
Get into my purse. So,
Yeah.
you know, stay out of mommy's purse.
Light it up and take a puff. Right. What's next? What's next on your
We got a
world tour, state tour? I
world
guess,
tour.
yeah.
It's going to be this coming Thursday, not this Thursday, but next Thursday,
That's
March.
for the ordinance here.
Yes, for
Okay.
May 23rd.
Okay.
And that'll be for that. Now, what we need people to do is follow our pages, SB80 support page, myrightTodecide.com, you know, Kentucky, that's KY, medical marijuana. You know, get on these pages, follow us, show up. Call your legislators. You know, you can call your legislative body, 1-800-372-7181. Tell your legislator, hey, I support legalization of cannabis. Hey, I support medical cannabis. You know, however you see fit. You know, I'm not hating on the medical community. They you know, children need it. They need to have something medical.
Totally agree.
Medical will probably pass first. That's theoretically that's how it's gone down.
Yeah, right.
So we should do the same, but we need to take it all the way. We need to make it
Do your thing.
decriminalize.
Keep doing your thing.
Oh wow!
I'm here if you need anything.
Look, I can't thank you enough for having me
Well,
on. This isn't your forte, but
Yeah, well, no, actually, my thing is a little bit of everything.
Right,
so
right.
I've had someone who's reached out about, because we're actually in a conversation with them. They're an opponent. So I do think it'd be cool to have a segment where a very respectful, you know.
well, we have others that can show up. You know, it's good
And we'll
for me
figure
to
that
be
out.
here
You
by
can help. You
myself.
can
You know.
maybe help make it happen.
Right. And we have tons of people. You know, I'm a small fish in a big fish tank, and there's a bunch of really good people swimming around, saying great things and doing great things.
Well, keep doing your great thing.
Oh, thank you for having me.
All right, Rebecca. Again, social media, Facebook, you got websites. Next ordinance is the 23rd.
That's correct. Session's coming up this fall,
Okay,
and
that's
we
right.
will be hitting them hard. We will be, if you follow the page, you'll see we're going to be up in Frankfurt. We'll have tables. We'll be talking to legislators. We're going to be talking to everybody. We do it every session. It's a good time.
Yeah.
We always have a great time while we're there. And so come out, join us,
I'll,
cover it.
yeah, when I upload the podcast, I'll have all the links attached to it so people can.
Thank you. That's
navigate to.
terrific.
Thanks
I
for hanging
appreciate
out
it.
with me tonight.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll do it again.
Thanks.
All right.
Great.